because short form content is on average like 10 seconds long or something, you don't give your brain enough time to engage in the stimuli, to remember it and process it.
What can you understand in 10 seconds? There's nothing in a 10-second clip that can help you understand any complex subject. In 10 seconds, what could you learn? Not much. There's not much you can learn, so your brain is definitely not growing. But like, let's say a 10-minute video, you could still learn a good amount of stuff. All right, so this came on my timeline. You'll never doom scroll again after watching this. Sounds pretty interesting, so let's see if that's true. Will I doom scroll after this?
The idea of brain rot sounds like a little bit of fun because, you know, it's a little Gen Z term sort of designed to sound a little bit funny and, you know, sound like a little bit of an overreaction, like we're dramatizing the dissipation of the collective unconscious. But short form content is actually really bad for you. Like, it's really bad for you. And by the end of this video, you're going to know some things about it, and I'm going to give you a fresh perspective on it that will make you want to quit it and never scroll again. Because you know from the beginning of this video that short form content is not good for you. In the same way that if you pick up a cigarette and smoke a cigarette, you know it's probably not going to be good for you. Or in the same way that you pick up a video game console and you start playing video games and addict yourself, you know it's probably not going to be good for you. The same way that you eat some refined sugar. It's really common for us to know that things are bad for us but not act out on them. But the thing is,
there's a difference between that and short form content, because actual food, your body will show you that, you know, it's not good for you, or your gut will tell you, oh, this is not good for you. There'll be an indicator. Maybe you have pimples, you feel sluggish. But with brain rot content, with this TikTok short form content, you can look very healthy on the outside, but your mind is extremely out of shape. And it's not as easy to tell, especially if you're already stuck in that, right?
Is most addictions and most behaviors that are destructive manifest physically, at least in physical ways that are painful and in ways that are noticeable in terms of your body changing, right? So if you get addicted to drugs, you're going to lose weight, or you're going to get sick, or you're going to get these symptoms. But short form content is a silent killing addiction, and it rots away at your brain without you realizing it. Basically, what happens when you watch short form content consistently too much is your brain literally rots away. And I'm going to explain this in a second from a sort of more neuroscientific perspective, but just hear me out here. If you're addicted to smoking, you feel like shit. Your lungs get all clogged up, you get out of breath, you can't exercise as much. If you're addicted to alcohol, you get hungover all the time, you get tired all the time. If you're addicted to sugar, you get big energy spikes and big energy crashes. If you're addicted to gambling, you see your money dissipating your bank account. But the silent addiction, the one that no one really tries to solve because they don't see any consequence, is short form content. And before we get into it, I want to tell you
that's what I was just saying.
Now I see your finger.
What? Oh yeah, no, let me skip this. He also has financial freedom course in the background. Should I keep watching this video? He's not going to try to sell me something, is he?
So go and check it out now. Let's crack on with the video. Let me explain something to you. You have one brain, okay? And for now, until Elon Musk figures out how to give us more than one, you have one brain. And your only primary sole job in life should be to protect two things, your brain and your body. Because you only get one of each, right? In your body, you will, protect it by eating healthily and doing the right things, at least you should be in theory. But your brain is the most important thing because this is the mechanism that you use to communicate with everyone, process your emotions, and basically just literally hallucinate.
Your brain processes everything. Your sensors, your eyes, what it sees is getting processed by your brain. What you smell, what you hear is literally the processor it's processing everything. So if you're degrading your processor, you're slowing it down and you're not allowing your processor to run very smoothly by only allowing short programs to run. Imagine, I don't know if I could find an analogy, but you basically, that processor will become sluggish and slow over time because it's never, trained to basically do a complex task. So the way the brain works, when you don't practice on something or when you don't do something enough, that makes your brain atrophy, not really atrophy, but it doesn't allow that capability. Basically, you're not exercising your brain like the muscle it is. You're only doing very short form type of exercises where there's no like complex stuff you have to hold. There's not too much focus that you have to remember. There's not too much that you're doing, so it doesn't allow your brain to become more expansive, if you get the gist.
Your reality and your life is born from your brain. Things don't happen, your brain happens, and then things happen that your brain perceives, and you create this thing called life and reality from your brain. So What the hell does that have to do with short form content? But let me explain something. When you watch short form content and when you scroll on these apps mindlessly, and the keyword there is mindlessly, you disengage your neural circuitry. In English, what that means is you stop using your brain. And if you don't believe me, let me ask you a question. Name me 5 Instagram reels or 5 YouTube shorts or 5 TikToks that you remember from your last doom scrolling session.
I don't remember nothing.
Can you actually think of like even 3 or 4 short form videos that you watched yesterday or the day before? You probably can't. Now, like if I asked you, name me 3 or 4 movies you've watched in the last month, or name me 3 or 4 TV series, or 3 or 4 long form YouTube videos, or 3 or 4 podcasts, you'd have no problem recalling those. But the problem is because short form content is on average like 10 seconds long or something, you don't give your brain enough time to engage in the stimuli, to remember it and process it before moving on.
Yeah, that's right. And also, like, what can you understand in 10 seconds? There's nothing in a 10-second clip that can help you understand any complex subject, right? In 10 seconds, what could you learn? Not much. There's not much you can learn. So your brain is definitely not growing. But like, let's say a 10-minute video, you could still learn a good amount of stuff, some complex stuff. And then the longer the video, then you can see a bigger picture and you see every single part of whatever you're trying to understand. That's the main reason, to be honest, is that 10 seconds, that's very short. Not only does it not let you understand nothing, but also it trains your brain to be like this all the time, to not want to pay attention more than 10 seconds. If you don't make me understand in 10 seconds, then I'm already thinking about other stuff. I'm trying to swipe you in real life. That's how it's going to become. That's crazy.
And so what that means is when you're scrolling through short form content, you're literally scrolling through the void. When you sit and have a doom scrolling session, it's almost as if that didn't happen. On a neurochemical level, on a neuroscientific level, your brain was disengaged and you were basically unconscious. It's like being asleep. Like because the stimuli, the average stimuli, the length of the videos is not long enough for your brain to actually engage and start processing the information and
No, it's worse than being asleep. At least if you're asleep, your brain is recovering. But he's saying some true stuff that, oh, that's very bad for you.
It in your memory. And that should terrify you, because when you scroll through short form content, you might think that you're just losing a bit of time or losing a bit of whatever, but you're losing 2 things. You're losing your life, literally, because you're not living when you're scrolling. You're basically unconsciously pulling this slot machine that you're not living. But on top of that, your brain literally decays. So the brain in the human body works on the idea or the principle that you either use it or you lose it. An example of this is senescence. Senescence is a term used to define what happens to old people. So as people get older, their organs degrade, their brain gets slower, and their body just starts sort of aging. And that's very normal for people that are getting older.
That's everywhere, though, not just the brain, the body as well. So you always got to move your body. Your body is meant to move, so you always got to move. You got to go to a gym or walk or do something that makes your joints move. Otherwise, it's going to lock up. You feel me? Get the blood flowing. Otherwise, it's going to go stale and cause problems. The same for the brain. You got to use your brain. Do something that allows you to basically use your brain. You know what I mean? You're better off playing games. At least you're using your brains more than scrolling. You're better off just playing games rather than doom scrolling. At least that's fun. To me.
But one of the main reasons that senescence happens in old people, and one of the main things that accelerates senescence and makes it faster, is a lack of use. And so there's lots of studies done on nunnery. So like these nuns, groups of nuns from churches and stuff. And they found that nuns on average, and there's a big meta study across the world, but nuns on average that keep their brain engaged in board games, in conversation, in social life, etc., their brain, these old nuns, these like ladies over the age of 70, 80, their brain decays at a slower rate than those who just sit around and watch TV all day. And the reason this happens is because you if you don't use it, you lose it. Now, here's the problem with short form content. When you're scrolling through short form content, you are not using your brain, because the average length of the novel stimuli, i.e. the video, is not long enough for your neuro capacity to actually latch onto it, remember it, process it, and file it away. And so what that means is you're not using your brain. And that should scare you, because there's no faster way to lose your brain and lose your comprehension mechanism than to just go. Now, I'm not saying here that your brain is literally like decaying. I'm not saying that you're decaying, but there is actual physical loss, because your brain is basically a collection of billions and billions and billions and billions of neural pathways. And what that basically means is in your brain, you've got these little cells called neurons. And between these neurons, you've got basically like lines of connection, if that makes sense. And when you engage in behavior or when you do things, you're basically using neurons to do that. Anytime you think, recall a memory, have a conversation, watch a YouTube video, take a note, catch a ball, everything is just basically electricity pulsing around in your brain.
Here's the thing, like right now, this video I'm watching, the people he's talking to are people who are like basically, doom scrolling, right? a person who's doom scrolled way too much will be already bored by what he's trying to say. He's trying to explain a high concept. So this is more for people like who are like halfway in between. They doom scroll sometimes, and sometimes they watch longer videos. This is your warning. If you go too much into the doom scrolling, you're cooked. You're cooked. You're gonna be gone. We need to snatch that phone out your hand. That's the only way we can get you back. Otherwise, if you're in between, stay on this side. Stay on YouTube. Watch some more boring stuff, or try to don't doom scroll. Delete them apps that are only short form.
So when you're watching short form content, what happens is there's less electrical pulses. Your brain's still doing things. It's still regulating your breathing. It's still going to be regulating you swallowing. It's still going to be regulating your temperature, but you're not consciously using it. And the way the brain works is and this is a very, 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 very low level, shallow perspective of neuroscience that won't be necessarily representative as far as biology goes. But the way it works is like this. When you do something, neuron thickens. When you don't do something, neuron thins. So basically, this is why habits are so hard to give up, because if you imagine from a biological perspective in your brain, and this isn't entirely accurate, but it's the easiest way to explain it to a broad audience. When you engage in a behavior, every time that in order for that behavior to happen, your neuron has to kind of like fire. And every time the neuron fires, it gets slightly reinforced and it's more likely to fire again. And this is why addictions that have been built up over the last 10, 20 years or so are so hard to give up, because your neurons have become thick and that's just their default mode of firing. It's just addiction. And so when you use and watch short form content, your neurons are thickening to watch short form content, but in the process, everything else in your brain just stops. And here's the terrifying statistic. I did some research on this. The average Gen Z or millennial person spends between 3 to 4 hours per day on short form content. 3 to 4 hours a day.
That's crazy. Let me see my hours. Let's see. Okay, so my screen time is, I'm on YouTube way too much. 8 hours and a half. But mind you, I'm driving a lot of this time, so I have an excuse. Honestly, I do. I'm not watching YouTube for 8 hours and a half.
Boy!
Literally, I'm not. I promise you. But other than that, I have no TikTok here, no Instagram. I got 5 minutes of Snapchat, 8 minutes of Twitter, and that's recent. I've been on DoorDash. Damn, I'm big, man. I've been on DoorDash for 47 minutes. What? I'm big. Damn. But anyways, let's go back to a video.
16 hours awake. And if you spend 4 hours on short form content, that's 25% of your life, your time, and your brain that are literally just being decayed before you. By watching short form content for 4 hours a day, if your average life expectancy was 100 years, you might as well just shave 25 years off your life. There is no bigger time sink, no bigger life sink, and no bigger brain sink and neurochemistry sink than short form content. It is literally death in life. Like, you're not living, you're not doing anything, you're not building any meaningful relationships, you're not making any progress in any direction in any way whatsoever towards a financial or relationship or health goal. You're not learning anything new. Hell, you're not even having a good experience. You're not even conscious. It's just not happening. It's not real. Think of it like this with your brain. Have you ever seen someone disabled before who's disabled from the waist down and they're sat in a wheelchair? And you'll know what I'm talking about here if you've seen this, because people who are disabled from the waist down or paralyzed from the waist down, they can't use their legs. And what happens is, because they can't use their legs, they stop walking. And when they stop walking, you'll notice their legs get really skinny and they lose the muscle mass and the bone density in their legs, which means their legs physically shrink. And so their pelvis and stuff
everything.
like that. And you might have observed that before, right? And what that basically is that's what's happening to your brain when you watch short form content. Your brain might not be getting smaller, but in a weird way it actually is, because it's literally decaying. You become
smoother.
25% more stupid, less articulate, less experienced, less emotionally available when you spend literally a quarter of your life on these platforms. If that's not a good enough reason for you to quit watching short form content, I don't know what is, but you're literally just giving your life up and sacrificing things. And it sounds great. When you pair this, by the way, and I'll leave you with this in closing, when you pair this with large language models, with AI, we get an even worse situation, because what's starting to happen now is short form content consumption's on the rise, but so is GPT usage, right? So ChatGPT, large language models. What a lot of people are doing right now is they're letting ChatGPT think for them. And that's fine, because you can get a horrific amount of efficiency from using ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, whatever it is. Is it Gemini, the Google one? I don't know. But the problem is a lot of people are just letting ChatGPT do all their thinking for them. And again, this is accelerated senescence. If you don't use it, you lose it. And so when you outsource all of your thinking to ChatGPT, you will lose the ability to think critically. You will. Like, in the same way that when you scroll through short form
Where
content,
do you have a chance to think? Using ChatGPT to give you the answers, and you using short form content to entertain you. So you don't. Where are you using your brain? That's crazy.
scrolling through all these emotions and all this viral content, you will lose your ability to properly process emotions and properly think. You just will. And I don't know anyone who's, I mean, I'm a deca millionaire. I've made more than $40 million online, or nearly $40 million online. And I know people worth, I had a dinner the other day with a guy worth 400 million. I know people worth $1 billion. I know people worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I've got friends that are 8 figures, 9 figures. None of them touch short form content with a barge pole. Not even with like a mile-long stick, they wouldn't touch it. Because people that are high performers and people that do really well in life value their mental space, value their mental capacity, and would absolutely never, ever sell part of their brain for short-term instant gratification. That's what you're doing. You're selling your life for pleasure.
Oh, well, he said he made a lot of good points, but he didn't give like a solution for people who are already trapped in that doom scrolling. You know what I mean? A solution I would say is, find a good hobby. Go outside, touch grass, do something. Or a hobby that you can get obsessed with. Because when you're obsessed with something and you want to learn everything about it, then you will start watching longer form stuff. Because you want to know every detail about it. You know what I mean? If there's a hobby. But yeah, that's one suggestion I have. I need to put pen to paper if I want to give you more suggestions. But off the top of my head, find a hobby, go outside, touch grass, play a sport, you know what I'm saying? Play a card game, chess game. Play chess. At least that uses your brain. Play a strategy game. There you go. Do something that makes you use your brain. Otherwise, you're going to lose it. Just like every other muscle. If you don't work out, you're going to lose that. Even your bones. If there's no pressure being put on your bones, if you're not walking around that much, even your bones will become fragile. Everything will decay if you don't use it. Everything has a reason, right? It has a function. Otherwise, it's just a cost for your body. And your body will start to get rid of that because it's a lot of energy. It's energy for you to have these muscles, right? It's energy to have a smart brain. It requires a lot of energy, especially the brain. The brain uses like 30% or something of your daily caloric intake. And because of that, if you're not using your brain like that, your body's gonna start, taking back the energy. You don't need all this 30%. They might start giving 20% to that. And then you might start feeling sluggish and all that. You know what I mean? Anyways, you gotta use it or lose it. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.